Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the brand new 2022 season 11 of American Horror Story entitled NYC, New York City. This is 10 episodes long. I hated this so much. And it's unfortunate because this is the first American horror that we have Max Carver in. And I'm obsessed with Max Carver. He's incredible. It was also nice to see Max Carver and Zachary Quinto act together again, because the last time we saw them was some Netflix thing that Ryan Murphy did. So it makes sense. Ryan Murphy puts the same actors and actresses in the same projects. And I love that. I say this all the time anytime we talk about Happy Madison Productions. Adam Sandler and his friends, they all do the same, not the same, but they all work very well together playing different characters. And it's great seeing certain familiarity of actors and actresses working together within Ryan Murphy properties. Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk. I can't say his name. Falchuk. So like certain American Horror Story actors and actresses have obviously been in other seasons, different characters, but it's great seeing them again. So to have Leslie something was back, Grossman was back, Billy Lord was back, Zachary Quinto was back. The guy who's in almost every single season, and I can never remember his name, an incredible actor. So you have incredible talent within this season, and it starts out in 1981. We get some flashbacks, we get some flash forwards, then we end in like 87, no, and then we end in 91. So it's like stuff, right? But like, this was so boring. It was so boring. We've seen this before, right? So a lot of the show is involving a serial killer targeting gay guys, right? In 81. And a lot of it is, that's one chunk of it. Another chunk is this leather daddy is targeting gay guys, killing them. Turns out it's the Angel of Death, which was just an odd coming to. But then another aspect is on a medical aspect. Lyme disease is coming into fruition, and HIV/AIDS is coming into fruition. So what are the different symptoms between those diseases? Why is it specific to a specific group? But it's also not to a specific group because females are actually getting it as well, not just gay guys. So it felt like I was watching documentaries. It felt like I was watching a serial killer documentary, which we've seen 1,000 times already, especially because the serial killer looked exactly like Ted Bundy. So we've seen this already. And then it also felt like I was watching a medical documentary about the origins of Lyme disease, about the origins of HIV and AIDS, and how certain symptoms were similar or present in certain individuals or dormant for quite some time. It felt like a documentary on two different fronts, and it didn't feel like a show. It didn't feel like a scripted TV series about horror story. American Horror Story is great as a whole because of the lore we've been given, right? We get ghosts, we've gotten vampires, we've gotten aliens, we've gotten apocalypse, we've gotten demons and angels, and a slew of other things, right? Freak Show is my favorite season, hands down, because it involved realness. It had a sense of authenticity because it was actual actors and actresses with actual deformities or whatever, portraying these characters in a setting that was, what was it, the 50s? It was so well done in a sense of authenticity, and it gave character development to a villain, Twisty the Clown, and it was just a matter of, are the monsters, like we learned from Scooby-Doo, are the monsters the ones behind the mask? Are the monsters the ones who call themselves our friends? It's just such an incredible season. I will die on that hill. That season 4 is the best because of that authenticity within that horror aspect. Now, saying that, coming to this was not horror. It was more gore than horror. It was just, there was no jump scare. There was no twist of who the villain is. Like, we knew who the villain was the entire time. It was watching a serial killer documentary, and it was watching a medical documentary about the origin of certain viruses. I think it's strange, though, also having this during a pandemic about a virus, because it's like not fiction anymore. You feel like you watch certain things and you read certain things and you play games and you do these things to get away from reality. Reality is awful. So you get away from reality in some means, whether you watch a show, whether you watch a film, whether you listen to music, whether you read a book, whether you play a video game. There's various outlets to escape reality. That's the purpose of these things, to go into a different world, to experience different things that you normally don't. And to have a show on its 11th season give us reality as the plot, it was strange. It was very strange. I was just bored and frustrated watching this thing. It was like watching an indie project like on repeat. There was like a whole five-minute interlude of just like gritty film of following a character, just the day-to-day. And I'm like, how is this relevant to the horror story? It's not. It was very strange. It was very strange. I love indie films. I love indie projects. We've discussed this numerous times about various projects. But this is a mainstream multimedia franchise in its 11th season. Technically 13th if you include season 1 and 2 of American Horror Stories, which is the spin-off within the same canon universe. It's very odd. It was just so odd, and it was so slow. And I watched the first 2 episodes, eyes to screen, to pay attention for the 43-minute per episode, something of that nature, right? And then after this, I just kept rolling my eyes, and I kept sighing. I was like, oh my God, this is so boring. It's so boring, because it was a documentary. It wasn't a show. It wasn't a adventurous scripted show. And then come the 3rd episode, I was like, no, I can't. So I took Christmas down in my room as I used it as background music, because I couldn't stare at the screen and genuinely find interest in it without having to do something else with my hands or with my eyes. So it was convenient that I had to swap out the Christmas and put up the Valentine's. I'm recording this currently on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's, everybody. But it's unfortunate. It's really, that's the only word I can find to this, aside from boring, is unfortunate, because it's such a well-loved property, and I don't see a lot of people loving this season. Loving it. I mean, in the Dare to Be Different front, sure, but you've given us lore for over a decade, and it's intermingled with other seasons. This was very much by itself, and it was just 2 separate documentaries. One about a serial killer, one about medicine stuff. I don't understand how this was put about as the 11th season of American Horror Story. I don't know, man. It was strange. Very strange. It was boring and unfortunate. And that's all I got. That's the only other word. I can't try to find good stuff to pull out aside from me saying all the actors did a great job with the material they were given. And I've said this already because I love the actors and actresses who did. Oh, Cal Penn was in this. You have Cal Penn as a chief of police in a couple episodes, and then that's it. You don't see him again. What's the point? You have Cal Penn as a chief of police, and that's it. Nothing ever again. It was so unfortunate. I don't know what other words to say. I'm going to keep repeating myself, boring and unfortunate, and that's it. Season 11 of American Horror Story, New York City. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.